Hi, this is Sue Jackson of the Book by Book blog, and I'm here with another Friday Reads. I'm going to try to keep it quick this week. I know I always say that. I am sitting up again. I was recorded on the couch last week. I was very, very sick this past week with some kind of respiratory virus. Today is the first day I'm starting to feel better. So I don't want to push it too much. I just recorded 2 tag videos trying to catch up a little bit. I did do a reading vlog last week, the mid-month book bash vlog. First time trying it, but since I was sick, I thought it would be easier and more doable than sitting up and recording a video like this. And I also posted a chronic illness vlog from the past week. I just put that up last night. If you're more interested in the behind-the-scenes details of dealing with a virus on top of a chronic illness. If you have a chronic illness, you might be interested in that. But I'm here today to tell you about what I've been reading. I finished Deacon King Kong. It was indeed, as I said last week, a perfect sick week book because wonderfully entertaining, wonderfully immersive. As you can see, I really enjoyed it, found a lot of depth in it. It's about a community in a Brooklyn housing project in 1969. On the opening page, an older man who is a deacon in the local church pulls out a gun and shoots another resident of the housing project who has been dealing drugs. And these two have a history, actually, a very close history. The deacon used to coach the young man in baseball, and he was a very talented pitcher. That sets off a chain reaction. So those are 2 of the main characters, but this is a book with a huge cast of characters where everyone is a main character, really. You get so many different perspectives here, and that's why I said it is really about this community, how this very diverse group of people living in this project have become a community. How they protect each other, how they fight with each other, how they interact on a daily basis. And it's not just the people in the housing project, it's also the neighbors around them. The Italian man across the street who works on the docks and is running a smuggling operation, the Irish cop who's been on this beat for decades and is part of this community, lives in it and works in it. James McBride has packed so much into this. The book is funny. It's highly entertaining. The characters are very vivid. They do and say very amusing things. My favorite phrase here was, and there's a lot of these, but this is my favorite. One character is saying to another, "Has your cheese done slid off your cracker?" There's a lot of that. It's a really fun book, but there is so much depth here. This isn't just about this one particular community. It's about the changes that are happening. 1969 being kind of a pivot point in history where you're kind of leaving behind the innocence of the 50s. It's no accident that the shooting at the beginning is of a drug dealer, because that's been a major turning point for this community. Hard drugs coming into the community. It's about the waves of immigrants that have shaped and changed this community. The Irish immigrants, the Italian immigrants who used to live in the housing project and who were then displaced by the Black immigrants coming from the South, and how things are changing again. So it's about history and culture and politics, but it's all centered around this community. So the reason I have so many tabs here is because this was a buddy read with Nikki, who used to have the channel Red Dot Reads. Nikki's all the way in Singapore, a whole globe away from me, so we leave each other voicemail messages. But buddy reading this book has made it so even better. I've noticed that it's not just the discussion that we have, which does absolutely help you get more out of the book and enjoy it more, but it's also, I think I pay more attention while I'm reading, because I'm thinking about, what do I want to say about this? And hence all the tabs. The pink ones are really just things that I want to mention to Nikki. There's some orange quote tabs there. And, as you can see, this book is just so filled with emotion, with people, with relationships, with community. Absolutely loved it. The ending was perfect. Highly recommend this book. And it was the perfect book to read for Black History Month. Now I've moved on to my next book group read. We're meeting next week to discuss Sweetland by Michael Crummy. This book has a little bit of a history for me. I was the one that suggested it, and I was thrilled when the book group chose it, because it's been sitting on my shelf since 2015. In 2015, I went to my first Booktopia. That's that annual event I go to in Vermont every year. And we do a Yankee book swap at Booktopia. And someone, I wish I could remember who, I'm going to ask in the Facebook group we have, someone gave me this book. And Michael Crummy had been a past Booktopia author, not for this book, but for another book. And I wanted to read it. It just, this is the way it is with your TBR shelves. Things get pushed to the back. Other newer books take precedence. So I am thrilled to finally be reading this. I only just started it yesterday, but I can already tell it's going to be a great book. I already love the setting, the main character, and the sense of humor, which is always a plus for me. This is set on a small island in Newfoundland. And this small island, the government wants to move everyone off this island, I guess so that they don't have to pay for services to the island, like the ferry and electricity and water service and all of that. So they're trying to move everyone off. But they said they won't do it unless everyone agrees. Well, everyone on the island has agreed, except for Moses Sweetland. The island is named after his family. It's called Sweetland. And Moses does not want to move. And he says he's not going to move. And the government official visits him in the first chapter and says, listen, there's going to be no electricity, no ferry service. And Sweetland says, fine, I'm not leaving my house. So that's the setup. Like I said, it's got a sense of humor. This is just in the first few pages. The government worker who's come to try to convince him to leave says, you're not on Facebook, are you? Because he does have a computer. He plays video poker on it. And he's got a scarred face. So Sweetland says, look at this face, he said. And the government man glanced down at the table. Now, Arf's book, Sweetland said, that's something I'd sign up for. I loved that line. So, hey, anything with a sense of humor is usually a winner for me. But this seems like a really great main character, a really unusual setting, and I'm enjoying it so far. Can't wait to read more and discuss it with my book group next week. This is another book that I get to discuss, so that always makes it special. Last week while I was sick, I listened to the YA novel Swing by Kwame Alexander, and the cover says, with Mary Rand Hess. I think I got her name right this time. I love his books. I just recorded the audiobook tag. I should have mentioned his books because they're fabulous on audio. They usually incorporate music, and this one does. As you probably know, he writes a lot of novels in verse. I'm not a big poetry reader, and I'm not very knowledgeable about poetry. So I think that makes listening to his books on audio all the better, because I can hear the cadence and the rhythm the way it was intended. So Swing was no exception. It was an outstanding YA novel and excellent on audio. It's about two best friends who are in their junior year of high school. Noah is white and Walt is black. They've been best friends since forever. And there's a third person in their best friend group, a girl named Sam. So Walt has big plans for them this year. He wants them to, his goals are to make the baseball team, something he's always dreamed of, and to be cool. He wants them to be cool. So both of these are big asks. They try out for the baseball team every year, and that's how this novel starts, with the names for the team being posted and then them seeing they once again did not make the team. And yeah, they're not super cool. Noah is the narrator, but Walt is really at the center of this novel. He's a very vibrant kid who is very authentic. He's not afraid to be himself. And one of the things he loves is jazz. So at the beginning of the book, and this has more to do with baseball than with jazz, but it's got a double meaning. He tells Noah he wants to be called Swing from now on. That's where the title comes from. So he is practicing at the batting cages. He's introducing Noah to jazz, which Noah doesn't really get at first. And Noah has a goal of his own. He has been in love with Sam for years, since the third grade. And he's never been brave enough to tell her. They've been best friends all this time, and he's afraid to tell her. So Walt is encouraging him to open up, to be vulnerable, to take that chance. So they've each got their own goals. Now there is, much of the book is quite upbeat and fun. But there is a tragedy that happens in this book, something I didn't see coming, pretty unexpected. And so that's a piece of it too. So it's really got an emotional impact, but it is also a really fun book to listen to. The characters are great. As I said, on audio, it just really comes alive. There's jazz music played in between each part. It's just, I really enjoyed listening to it on audio. That's Swing by Kwame Alexander with Mary Rand Hess. And I have picked out my next audiobook, but I haven't started it yet. I still need to download it to my iPod. I do still use an iPod. I went through my backlist of audios that I have on a whole hard drive. And one of the last ones I found is a YA book called Black Enough, Stories of Being Young and Black in America. I was looking for another book that would be a good fit for Black History Month. I think this year more than any other, it's important to take the time to recognize Black history and appreciate it and help spread the word. So this is actually a collection of short stories. So I also haven't read any short stories in a couple of years, so I'm looking forward to that as well. It is edited by E.B. Zaboy, who is a fabulous YA author. I've enjoyed a couple of her books. This is short stories about the lives, what it's like to be Black and young in America. And I think it's It was published in 2020, so relatively present day. So I'm really looking forward to starting that today, and I'll let you know about it next week. So that's what I'm reading this week. I would love to hear what you've been reading. Please let me know in the comments down below.